Is it okay that my girlfriend wants to play tennis indoors? I am white, college-educated and in my 70s. My 60-plus-year-old girlfriend is also white and college-educated. We both own our homes and alternate staying overnight at each other's houses. I have some medical issues that indicate a moderately weakened immune system. She is healthy for her age. We both have been very careful about wearing masks, social distancing and so forth. She loves tennis and pickleball and has been playing these games outside, without masks, since the spring. With the cold days upon us, she now wants to play indoors at her athletic club. While all those with whom she will play will wear masks, those on the court before her and next to her may not be wearing masks. She may play 5 to 7 hours a week. I understand that my only role here is to tell her whether or not I will limit our time together to walking outside, not inside without a mask, no overnights, until the spring. Our doctors indicate only that there are risks involved in her potential behavior, but they will not provide any more guidance. I strongly believe that I have absolutely no right to demand any behavior of her, and she and I will respect whatever decision each of us makes. I am quite fearful, because of my somewhat fragile health, but I have not yet made a decision, nor has she. What are the ethical issues we both face? Name withheld. So far as the ethics goes, I agree that you don't have the right to demand that your girlfriend not engage in these activities, though you do have the right to insist on social distancing if she does. But as someone who loves her, you should make sure that she's aware of the risks she's exposing herself to. Each of you has primary responsibility for your own health, but part of loving people is ensuring they are acting on reliable information about the risks they face and the risks they might pose to others. Inevitably, then, the issues you must grapple with are as much about what the risks are in your situation as they are about how you ought, ethically, to deal with them. The risks, first, depend on how dangerous an infection might be. We're learning new things about the virus every day. Estimates of the dangers here are a moving target. But according to one unpeer-reviewed paper I've seen, between the ages of 65 and 75, the infection fatality rate, the chance of dying if you get the disease, rises from about 1 in 70 to about 1 in 22. At 85, it's close to 1 in 7. And death isn't the only thing to worry about. It's possible to suffer long-term consequences even if you survive infection. Then there's the question of what the risks might be from playing indoors at her athletic club. It matters whether the athletic club has a good ventilation system, with filtration and air dilution. People who are playing sports are expelling large quantities of air, and the virus can stay suspended in still air for many hours. Because your odds of getting sick relate to whether you take in a significant number of viral particles in a short period, it's not a great idea to stick around for a long period in an enclosed space where unmasked people who may be carrying the virus have been breathing heavily. But perhaps the key variable, the research suggests, is the rate of infection in your community. If the chance of contracting COVID-19 is 1% on any visit to the club, 50 visits will bring that rate to more than 1 in 3. You'd want to be assured that the chances of exposure, simply based on community prevalence, are far lower than that. The upside of sticking with these sports is that it's keeping her healthy and extending her life expectancy, and maybe maintaining her spirits as well. So those considerations, too, should weigh into the accounting for her and, because you care about her, for you. If you conclude that visits to the club preclude undistanced visits with each other, you may learn that you rank lower in her priorities than you might have wished. Or that the two of you simply disagree about the risks. We are, as is so often the case amid this pandemic, in the realm of the guesstimate. And as this nation has recently been reminded, sometimes what people take to be true is what they want to be true. In the end, there's no avoiding the fact that times of contagion are especially vexing when it comes to intimate relationships. We embrace our loved ones. We hold them close. What's especially cruel about the pandemic is that it confers a very different valence upon our most deeply ingrained expressions of caring and concern. At my university, to be approved to teach remotely for the fall semester, faculty members had to state that they had health or safety concerns that would prevent them from teaching in person. The administration did not question anyone's claims. As far as I can tell, everyone who stated that they had such a concern was approved to teach remotely. Several of us decided to teach in person, since our students expressed a preference for in-person instruction. This has resulted in a heavier burden on those of us willing to teach in person, especially since several of the students in our classes have had to move to remote instruction as a result of exposure to the coronavirus, or even infection. So now we have to teach in a hybrid model that involves simultaneous online and in-person instruction. In the meantime, several of my colleagues who were approved for remote instruction started to engage in activities, sharing pictures of those activities on social media that seem to indicate they do not have health and safety concerns. For instance, some are traveling, including by airplane, and some are meeting up with friends and family in large groups while not wearing masks or social distancing. Since most of these faculty members have again been approved for remote teaching in the spring semester based on their health and safety concerns, what is the best way to respond to these people, who seem to be exploiting the university's unwillingness to ask for evidence of their health issues? Name withheld. Your colleagues' bad conduct doesn't show that these people aren't genuinely worried about getting sick in the classroom. They might believe that spending many hours a week in an enclosed space with young people whose compliance with the pandemic protocols out of the classroom cannot be taken for granted is more hazardous than going to an unmasked, non-socially distanced gathering of friends once in a while. How safe it is to travel by air, meanwhile, is a complicated and disputed question. Experts offer different assessments here. For that matter, teaching on Zoom is, in most respects, harder than teaching in person. It requires rethinking how one teaches. It's harder for the students, too. There's a still greater burden associated with teaching hybrid classes, though, and those who are teaching them are typically doing a larger share of the work of teaching than those who are not. Your university, and its faculty governance, should think about what could be done to make up for this. And though the evidence you offer isn't proof that these colleagues of yours are being dishonest, so long as the health concerns excuse for avoiding teaching in person works on an honor system, some people will, in fact, abuse it. What's the right response? The usual response to people who abuse an honor system, or indeed, who fail to contribute to the common weal by masking and social distancing, is to expose them to shame, typically by revealing their misconduct. And yet by sharing these images on social media, these colleagues of yours are doing this themselves. I suppose that raising these issues in faculty meetings in general terms may also prompt some to rethink. But there may be no easy solution. In the end, your college is probably wise to let people get away with these things if they want to. You don't want teachers around who are genuinely and reasonably afraid they'll get sick, and it's hard to corroborate such concerns in a respectful way. Besides, if those jet-setting colleagues of yours really are behaving recklessly, it's better if they stay away from campus. They're a danger to others,